Happy Saturday, Risers. We hope you're having a phenomenal weekend. Saagar and I are back with some of our favorite moments from the week.
That's right. Earlier this week, reports came out that Pete Buttigieg has been considering for the top position of OMB director, but he thought he deserved, quote, a real cabinet position, not a staff-level job.
The guy is really something. President and founder of Solidarity Strategies and author of To Bernie and former senior advisor to the Bernie Sanders campaign, Chuck Rocha gave his input on why he thinks Buttigieg was so quick to turn that position down.
I think it exposes what he really wants to do with his career. I mean, if he wanted to really have a big impact on the administration, he would have taken one of those jobs. But I think he is very ambitious. I think that I don't put that past him, but I haven't met very many white males who aren't ambitious, who have the nerve to say, not that one, not that one. How about that one over there? You know, as a poor old redneck who grew up in East Texas, I'll go over and cut the lawn if they'll pay me enough money. Like, I'll go over and do some work. But let me just be clear about something. It also shows that he wants to run for something else. It shouldn't surprise anybody that he was the mayor and he got to do things at the DNC and he ran for president and ran a good campaign. So he wants to be president one day, and he ain't shy about that. He'd like to be vice president someday. And it looks much better on his resume if he is the ambassador to China than OMB, because there's a lot of old Democrats who don't even know what the OMB is, and so they know where China is, and they think that that's pretty important.
Chuck is right.
Has a colorful way of putting things, but is totally spot on.
Yeah.
I actually, in that segment, I kind of realized like the difference between a Pete Buttigieg and a Neera Tanden. Pete is not actually ideological. I mean, you'll recall at the beginning of his campaign, he was like, I'm for Medicare for all. And then instantly he decided that the right lane to be was sort of like the moderate alternative, the younger moderate alternative to Joe Biden. So he shifted to that position. If you actually care about ideology, power, getting something done, OMB is an incredible place to be. Neera Tanden is completely ideological, understands power, actually has a corporate agenda that she wants to implement. And so for her, she's like, OMB director, hell yes, like put me in that post. Yeah. But yeah, this is like so incredibly revealing of Pete. Not only did he turn down OMB, he also turned down VA secretary.
Yeah, right.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, which isn't, again, the VA is one of the largest healthcare agencies in I think in America and on Earth. So it would require actual administrative experience. It would require, really showing up and caring for people who've been left behind, dealing with a lot of PTSD, suicide issues, and all of that. But no. He wants to be like George H.W. Bush and go to China and ride bicycles around like Tiananmen Square while taking photos, which also happens to be the most important diplomatic post in the world. He doesn't speak Chinese and has no experience whatsoever in this realm.
Yeah, no, he just wants to be able to have like that foreign policy line item on his resume.
I went to
That's
China.
it. Right. And it's like, it's so grotesque and disgusting that's the way not only he's thinking about these cabinet positions, but that Biden is going along with it, not just with Pete, but with many, many others.
Exactly. All right, we also spoke with Director of People's Action, George Goehl. It was about changes Congresswoman Marcia Fudge could bring to the USDA.
He discussed why this change is so necessary and detailed the Democratic establishment's failure to help rural America. Of course, since this interview, Fudge has been picked to lead HUD instead of USDA. Here's what George said about why she would be so good in that position.
I think they're both corrupt. And then I think what you're pointing out is why a lot of folks in rural communities are like, Democrats, Republicans, what's the difference? They're both on the dole of corporate America. And then I think what really concerns me is I think you've got a lot of folks in the party that actually believe in a neoliberal trickle-down policy. And so they're not only like hooked on the money, they actually believe the policy at the end of the day. And I think this is why we have this big struggle for the heart and soul of the Democratic Party. And right now, I think what you're seeing is a party that in many ways is saying, we are going to drive on inclusion and we're going to help include more people in a sinking ship versus address the real reasons that the ship is sinking in rural communities and across the country.
Yeah, I mean, George, as usual, is correct. And you were talking about Tom Vilsack and how he's like despised by basically everybody in the agricultural community except for the big corporations.
Oh, they love him.
Which love him. Saw a lot of big ag mergers and things that happened under him. Decline of farm household income and so much more under the Obama administration. So great.
Yeah, Vilsack, who ended up getting the USDA pick, has one qualification, which is he's a buddy of Joe Biden. Yes, he ran USDA under the Obama administration. That's like an anti-qualification, though, because he did a terrible job. Truly. I mean, you're talking about the antitrust
Yes.
piece. After he left, then he goes and becomes a lobbyist for the Dairy Council, cashing in, getting even cozier to Big Ag. You also have what was truly a shameful incident where he was the one who pushed Shirley Sherrod out after this deceptively edited video was put out by Breitbart.
Right.
Total smear hatchet job, and they rushed to judgment, pushed her out. Completely shameful episode. Should be, like, that in and of itself should be disqualifying. But on top of that, the coziness with Big Ag, but that's the direction that Joe Biden decided to go in and put Marcia Fudge at Housing and Urban Development, in spite of the fact that she explicitly, first of all, has qualifications for USDA that made her uniquely appropriate for that role. But second of all, she directly told the press, like, I don't want HUD, and he gives her HUD. So anyway, very interesting.
Okay. And reports have emerged. Nina Turner filed to run for Ohio's 11th district, a seat currently held by Representative Marcia Fudge, as she will transition to HUD.
Co-host of the Bad Faith podcast, contributing editor to Current Affairs and former National Press Secretary for the Sanders campaign, Briahna Joy Gray, spoke with us about why Turner's presence in the House could be such a huge win for progressives.
And with the margins in the House, very, very narrow between Republicans and Democrats, so that a lot of folks are saying that the progressive members of the House have more influence, have a bigger ability to make an impact than they ever have before. Some commentators are calling for them to even hold up Nancy Pelosi's appointment as Speaker of the House in order to push a progressive agenda, for example, bringing a floor vote on Medicare for all. And these are things that they could do with relatively small numbers. And if Senator Turner were among those ranks, it would make their influence obviously even that much more powerful.
It would be a lot of fun to have Nina in the House.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with Chuck yesterday, which is that, like, oh man, Nancy Pelosi not happy about this because she's already got a razor-tight 4-seat margin in the House, and I don't think Nina is the going along, getting along type.
She is very clear about who the true adversaries are out there, that Democratic leadership is just as much an enemy of left politics as Republican leadership, if not more in certain ways. So, it would be a lot of fun to have her in there.
That's right.
That does it for us. We'll be back later today with the week that was in media screw-ups.
That's right. Remember, hit that subscribe button. Don't miss any of our videos. Don't forget to like and share as well. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back for another round of #RisingQs. See you all then.
Enjoy your weekend, guys.